The skills that got you hired 5 years ago probably won't keep you relevant in 2026. That's just my bet. Not because you're bad at your job, but because work has fundamentally changed. Every few years, we hear the same advice: learn to code, master AI, hustle harder. But 2026 isn't about stacking more skills, it's about which skills actually matter. So today, I want to talk about the skills I believe will define the 2026 workplace and why most people are preparing for the wrong things. So let's talk about skill one: adaptability over expertise. For a long time, being the expert was the goal. You picked a lane, you mastered it, you stayed there, you didn't swerve and verve in other lanes, you kept with what you were an expert in. But now, roles are changing faster than job titles. In the 2026 workplace, adaptability isn't about reacting quickly, it's about designing your mindset around change. Knowing that change is the default, job descriptions will feel outdated within a year. You know what? I'll change that. I feel like, honestly, with the amount of people that I've either hired and then also the times that I've been hired, I almost would say as soon as I start day one or the person started day one, that job description was out of date because that person coming into that role may have additional skill sets, or maybe they didn't meet 100% of the job requirements. So that job is going to fit around that person. So just within that, I would say day one, the job description isn't 100% true. Dare I say maybe 50% to 60%, if that. But either way, tools, platforms, and workflows will shift mid-project. What once felt stable will continue to evolve. So just understand that that's the only thing that's constant. That is, I believe, the skill that professionals will need to take into 2026. The most valuable people aren't the ones who know the most. They're just the ones who can learn, unlearn, and relearn quickly. Adaptability isn't chaos. It's just being comfortable with not being fully ready and not knowing 100% what the future will hold. And adaptability is no longer just an advantage. I feel like it's just a baseline. That's just something that you all, as a professional in the workforce, with budgets, with the economy, with resources, it just is what it is, as they say. So skill number two, critical thinking, especially when it comes in the age of AI. AI can write emails. AI can summarize meetings. AI can generate ideas. But what it can't do is decide what actually matters. And as AI becomes embedded into daily workflows, the value of raw output declines. I'm a girly who, again, I love systems, I love processes, but in that automation of things, you have to decide what is worthy of being automated. What rises instead is the judgment, being able to look at a project and see how to incorporate AI, but again, figure out what truly matters in that. And critical thinking isn't about being smarter, it's just asking better questions. Just like when you're using AI, if you want to use it effectively, you have to know how to prompt it effectively. Questions to be asking yourself: does the solution actually solve the problem? Who benefits from this decision? What's missing from the data? That's many times when we're using AI and all these different data sets, it's not about what you have, but think about what's actually missing that can also improve your data and your output. Critical thinking now looks like evaluating AI generated work instead of just blindly accepting it, understanding context and nuance, and also recognizing unintended consequences. It's still very much biased, it's still very much in its infancy. And it's also knowing, while AI can speed up things, knowing when speed is helpful and when it's dangerous. The people who thrive, they won't be replaced by AI, but they'll be the ones who direct it instead. So skill three, communication that actually connects. It's ironic, but we're more connected than ever in today's world, but somehow we are still worse, or actually just worse in general, at communicating. Clear communication is no longer a soft skill, it's a survival skill. With the popularity of remote work, hybrid work, teams being in different time zones, and just work not happening as in the same time period as it normally would be maybe pre-COVID, It's so important that clarity becomes essential when it comes to communicating with one another. Writing clearly, giving proper context, saying less, saying less, but saying it better is so important because no one wants to open up their email and have to read a novel. Give me the TLDR, too long, didn't read version of what you want me to do. But all that aside, saying less, but saying it better and listening to understand, not just to respond. These things are just no longer optional. We have to have that as professionals. Strong communicators write messages that don't require follow-up clarification. It has all the information in that one message, so then that way people can take it and move on it and do whatever they need to do as far as the next steps. They provide the context instead of assumptions. They know when silence is better than noise, and when a well-placed sentence can save hours of confusion. Communication is less about personality and just more about respect. Respect for people's time, attention, and cognitive load. A lot of us suffer from decision fatigue, and when people can just write clearly and write, again, succinctly, but clearly, it saves all of us time and just is better for the workplace in general. All right, so then skill 4. This one is also, I think, really important. Self-management and energy awareness, because no one is coming to save you from burnout or from your own lack of boundaries. It is up to you. I mean, with the workplace being more flexible, but also more demanding, there's fewer external structures, more autonomy. Again, if you're working remote or you're working hybrid, hopefully you don't have a manager breathing down your neck, but a lot of that autonomy of well-being shifts inward. It's more so your responsibility. The future of work, it doesn't reward people who simply manage their schedules well. It rewards people who manage themselves well. And what that means is knowing when you do your best thinking. Like for me, I know if I need to do any kind of detailed work, that's usually slotted between 10 and 12 p.m., like before lunch. And I know if there's any kind of creativity or flowy things that just require me to kind of be in a whimsical kind of mood, that's probably like around 2 to 4 o'clock is when I would place that work on my schedule. It's also about managing focus instead of just tasks, knowing that, okay, if you're in a brain fog moment between, a little bit after lunch, okay, maybe not analyzing spreadsheets or finances at that time will be the best time to do that. But it also means understanding what drains your energy versus what restores it. It also means creating boundaries without external enforcements and recognizing the early stages of burnout before they become avoidable. Again, that's really on you to figure out what you need to do for yourself before you reach the edge, basically. Burnout, it won't always come from too much work. More often, it just comes from poorly managed energy or unclear expectations and just the inability to disconnect. Because again, there's so much more, I think, after COVID, I feel like there has been so much more demand on employees and wanting more and more and more. And it's like it's the same 24 hours in a day. It's the same time period, but more is being expected. So it's really up to you to manage your time and then also speak up, because closed mouths don't get fed. If something's going on and you need a break or you need some reprieve just to kind of have some space, speak up, say something, because discipline matters, but awareness matters more in that. And professionals who thrive will treat their focus, their energy, and just their well-being as strategic assets, not just afterthoughts. All right, skill 5, creative problem solving. Again, going back to AI a little bit, automation, it handles efficiency, but creativity handles the uncertainty. As efficiency becomes increasingly automated, creativity becomes differentiated, because there's so many different things that we aren't aware of until, it happens, basically. And creativity isn't just about being artistic. It's about seeing possibilities where others may see roadblocks. It's always very interesting, I think, with creative problem solving. It means creating or connecting ideas across disciplines, seeing systems. That's one other skill I'll talk about later on. Instead of silos, understanding how everything connects, and then designing solutions that account for people. And I think that's the thing that we're losing more of when as we get further into this AI world is that we lose the sight of people and how messy people can be, but then also how creative people can be and how innovative people can be without machines, without AI. And so it shows up in operations, leadership, finance, and strategy just as much as it does in marketing and design. Um, what valuable employees, the difference between valuable employees is the question that they ask. They don't ask, what's my role, but more so they'll ask, what's the problem we're trying to solve? And many times in our workplaces, that's all we are. We're just problem solvers. Okay, when we come into work and we're working with the team and a problem comes up, it's all heads in, let's figure out solutions to this problem. And you don't leave that meeting thinking like, oh, there's nothing we can do. No, you're going to rack your brain to try and figure out what kind of solutions propose, write up all these different solutions and propose the best one for implementation. But creativity is the ability to step back and question assumptions and ask, what if we tried this differently? So that's the biggest thing, is making sure you kind of get out of your comfort zone, if thinking out of the box, as cliche as that is. But that is what is, I think, more needed as we go into a more automated AI society. All right. And so skill 6 that I would say, probably out of all of these, this is probably the top one. And I probably should have started with this one, but emotional intelligence and human awareness. As technology accelerates, human skills become more valuable, not less. The more automated and digital our work becomes, the greater the demand for emotional intelligence. I do think you can teach emotional intelligence to a degree, but sometimes you have it or you don't. Because emotional intelligence, it shows up in different ways. But for instance, it's like reading the room in virtual spaces where tone and body language are harder to detect. Or even when you're in person and you're walking into a meeting room and maybe there's some like bad energy in there, like just being able to understand that, okay, if there's some bad energy in the room, you don't come in there piling on with negative energy, but rather maybe it's like, something's odd here in this room. Let me sit back and observe and collect some more information so I can see how to navigate in this space. I mean, again, that's something that's not, I don't know how you would teach that. There's, again, a certain level of emotional intelligence you could teach, but sometimes it's really just about picking up on energy and figuring out, okay, I don't know what's going on necessarily in here, but let me observe and then figure out my next move after I observe for a little bit. I would say also navigating conflict without escalation, managing your emotions, not going off the handle, not getting postal or going postal rather, and just responding with intention instead of reaction, like really understanding where people are coming from. If there is an employee who is just, maybe they're acting slightly differently, and just understanding like, this person isn't acting like they normally would. Something must be off. Let me not say this, or let me say something else to maybe encourage them. Whatever the case may be, just, I would say when I think about emotional intelligence, it's about reading the room, responding to people, and meeting people where they are. And that's kind of, as you're working with people, you have to have that. And that's what I think too, unfortunately, not to get off on a tangent, but people who tend to rise to the ranks, hopefully they are skilled, but most of the time, I think there was a survey, I wish I could find it actually, but it's the more likable you are, the higher up in the chain of command, or the higher, you get into a company. It's not about your skill set necessarily. It's like, okay, do people like working with you? So that's why emotional intelligence and just awareness of other people is so important. And that's why I really do think out of all of these, this is probably the top one that I would recommend to anyone just coming into the workforce. All right, so skill 7, systems thinking. I kind of talked about this a little earlier, but the workplace rewards people who understand how parts connect to the whole. System thinkers, they don't just execute, they zoom out. They understand how decisions ripple across teams, timelines, budget, and people, because they understand if they make a decision within their unit, again, it just ripples out. And if you don't understand that and you're just making decisions in a silo and you're not considering other people, um, it can mean a world of hurt for you later down the road, and something that you have to make up for down the road as well. So it's just a matter of just understanding how you fit into the larger picture, because especially, in critical environments with limited resources, when there's overlapping roles and constant change, I mean, I think those are environments that everyone is working in, or just about everyone is working in now. Again, system thinkers are often the ones who spot the issues before they surface, not because they're predicting the future or anything, but just because they understand the patterns and how all the different pieces work together to make the organization work as it does. The last skill that I would say is needed in a 2026 workplace is learning agility. And what that means is having discernment in what you're learning. Because I'm a lifelong learner. I love learning about different things. I'm actually going to write up a video about how to develop your own personal curriculum. So if you don't know what that is, stay tuned for that. But I just love learning about different topics. But it's learning agility and being discerning on what is important for your job now, and not waiting until you become a master at it to act on it, but learning enough basically to be able to take that knowledge and move forward with it in your current role. It's not about knowing everything. Again, it's just about having the curiosity, starting to learn it, and then moving forward with that idea. And so it's just, there's so many different ads, there's so many different learning systems available, and everyone wants to take advantage of, especially a great example of this is AI and all the automations, machine learning, all the different things that are coming up for future learning. But based on what you're doing right now, you don't need to learn all of that stuff. Like, learn what you need right now, again, to just move in the space you're in, and then build upon that. Again, you don't have to, I would even recommend, I'm not anti-college. Don't think that. I got 2 degrees, so I'm part of the college degree complex. But I would say more so certifications and quick courses, again, to learn what you really need to learn, because a lot of the stuff that you learn in college is outdated in a year or two. I mean, for those people who took AI courses a year ago, I'm sure those courses are so irrelevant now, just because so many things have changed, like in the past 3 months when it comes to AI, all the different updates and all the different versions that are out there. So just being conscious of your time and being discerning on what you're learning, when you're learning it, and being able to move on it so it doesn't become stale and then you're behind the 8 ball again. So again, just to wrap all this up, those are the 8 skills I think you're going to need for 2026. The most important change, as I mentioned in these steps here, they're not technological. It's more so philosophical. But the 2026 workplace, it favors people who think clearly, communicate intentionally, manage themselves and their emotions well, those who are staying curious and continuously learning, but also remain human in increasingly digital systems. And again, I can't stress that last part enough, just remaining human and realizing you're also dealing with other humans who are messy and perfect, but you have to work with people, and you have to understand how they work and how to motivate them and how to work together well to accomplish things. But that's all I have for you today. Let me know in the comments if you would add to this list, or if there's a particular skill that resonates with you. If you're new here, welcome. If not, welcome back. My name is Moni, and I'm creating videos for those looking to redesign a life that fits them and their needs. This includes content for entrepreneurs, nonprofit founders, young professionals, seasoned professionals, and everyone in between that. If you enjoy this type of content, please like, share, and subscribe. I make videos every single day. So if you like this, again, please like, share, and subscribe. But I will see you tomorrow. Bye.